Hello doctors. Olfaction. It's a short notes for you. A simple topic, easy one. But my recommendation is you better finish vision, hearing, and then you can take up olfaction so that the understanding of olfaction and the nuances behind it will be very easily understood and you could able to appreciate it in a much deeper level. At the outset, guys, remember this. It's all about perceptions. Alright, when it comes to sensations, you need to be very clear about what is reality and what is getting perceived. What is reality may be very different, but what you perceive will be completely different. If you'd have, finished visual physiology, you could able to appreciate the differences between reality and perception much better. But anyway, I need you to be clear and aware of this one basic concept that something that is present in nature is different. What we perceive is very different. It's a biological process. Alright, so guys, olfaction is more of a perception rather than reality. Alright, so you got to be clear at that one point. So, why is this important when it comes to olfaction, smell? The point is, we have enormous number of odorants in the nature. Every single matter can able to produce different odor. The odorant intensity, the fragrance, the basic nature may be widely differing, but we have a very limited sense of odor. Alright? Evolutionarily, if you consider, humans do have a very less capability to differentiate and perceive odors, doctors. Alright. So guys, even though nature has got a plenty of different odorants, when it comes to the point of perception, it's very limited. Alright. So with that basics, let's get to see how this human brain perceives smell, odor, fragrance. As every sensory perception goes, we require a sensor, we require a cell that senses the odor. Alright. So when it comes to that cell that senses the odor or flavor, we have something called as olfactory cells. And these olfactory cells are spread out in an epithelium called as olfactory epithelium. So remember, olfactory cells are spread out in an epithelium called as olfactory epithelium. So guys, this olfactory epithelium is present in upper part of nose, right here. So you guys know we do have a nasal septum, the bony septum at the upper half, alright. So from this bony septum, we do have mucous membrane on either sides, and covering that mucous membrane, we could able to see this olfactory epithelium. So this olfactory epithelium starts on the medial side, goes to the roof, it comes to the lateral side. So if you look at the extension of olfactory epithelium, it extends somewhat about 2.5 square centimeter. The entire area is going to be 2.5 square centimeter, as I just told you. It covers the medial aspects of nasal septum, it goes on the lateral aspects of lateral walls of nose as well. So when it comes to the point of extension, it covers upper segments of nasal septum, as well as it covers upper turbinate on the lateral surface of nose, lateral walls of nose. You guys know very well, there are three turbinates, alright, upper turbinate, also called the superior turbinate, middle turbinate, inferior turbinate, alright. So this olfactory epithelium covers upper turbinate. This is definite in every single human being. olfactory epithelium will be covering upper turbinate, also called the superior turbinate. Be familiar with that word as well, superior turbinate. In some individuals, it might even go up to the upper half of middle turbinate. Alright. So that's the olfactory epithelium, guys. Now if you look at the olfactory epithelium, we are going to see cells primarily, and these cells are called as olfactory cells. Let me give you a basic idea of what an olfactory cell is, and then we'll get on to see the picturistic manner. See people, now consider on the luminal side there is nasal cavity. Very close to nasal cavity we are going to find nasal epithelium, right? So we do have the epithelium that's covering the nasal septa. We do have the midline. This nasal septa has been covered with the epithelium, and here we are going to observe cells, and these cells are going to be called as olfactory cells. On an average in the nasal epithelium, there are going to be somewhat about 1 million olfactory cells in human noses. Actually, this number is a very underestimated number, alright. 1 million itself is kind of an underestimated number, doctors, but definitely there is a 1 million number of cells. But is it absolutely restricted to 1 million or less? Not at all. There is always the numbers going up and above than 1 million, alright. So on an average, alright, there are going to be 1 million olfactory epithelial cells, and these olfactory epithelial cells do shows cilia. These olfactory epithelial cells do show cilia, doctors, and this cilia is going to be projected across the olfactory epithelium, alright. So over the mucosa, over the epithelium, this olfactory epithelial cell cilia gets projected off, alright, and this cilia is getting projected into the cavity, and very important, this cilia is not going to stay projected simply, rather those projections are completely covered by mucus. Alright, so there is going to be a layer, there is going to be a good layer of mucus that is going to cover these epithelial surface, and in this mucus the cilia are going to be projected and the cilia are going to be embedded. Alright, that's the way olfactory epithelium is arranged, and the cells are called as olfactory cells. Alright people, now when it comes to the next kind of cell, we are going to describe and we are going to see another kind of cell called as sustentacular cells, which are designed to support the olfactory cells. So in between olfactory cells, what are we going to see is something called as sustentacular cells. And please remember, sustentacular cells are primarily a supporting cells and nothing much. While sustentacular cells or supporting cells, olfactory cells are called as receptors, olfactory receptors. Olfactory cells are nothing but olfactory receptors, doctors. Fine. Now we just discussed the epithelium, how olfactory receptors are present, where it is present, how it is getting supported by another cell called the sustentacular cells.